The October rain fell softly over Manhattan as Olivia Bennet stood by the window of the master bedroom in the Winchester mansion on the Upper East Side. 6 months had passed since she'd changed her last name, and each day in that opulent house felt more suffocating than the last. She still remembered the day she met Alexander Winchester at an art exhibition at the Metropolitan Museum. Tall, elegant, with that calculated smile that charmed everyone. Son of one of New York's most traditional families, owners of a chain of private hospitals that stretched across the entire country, Alexander represented everything Olivia's parents had always wanted for their daughter: stability, status, security. The courtship was quick. 3 months of dinners at refined restaurants, conversations that never went deeper than pleasantries, and a marriage proposal that came with a diamond ring worth more than the apartment where Olivia had grown up in Brooklyn. The ceremony at St. Patrick's Cathedral was sumptuous. 300 guests, a dress imported from Paris, flowers that cost the equivalent of a luxury car. Olivia smiled in the photos, but there was something in Alexander's eyes that she couldn't decipher. A distance. A coldness that she attributed to nervousness. But the honeymoon in the French Riviera revealed the cruel truth. Alexander barely touched her. They slept in separate rooms at the 5-star hotel, and when she tried to get close, he always had an excuse: exhaustion, headache, urgent work. They returned to America as 2 strangers who shared only a last name. At the Winchester mansion, Olivia discovered that her role was purely decorative. She appeared at social events on Alexander's arm, smiled for the cameras, agreed with her mother-in-law, Catherine, about the house decoration and the choice of menu for charity dinners. But the moment the doors closed, Alexander disappeared to his study, came back late at night, or simply ignored her. "Are you okay, sweetheart?" The soft voice of Sophia Winchester broke through her thoughts. Olivia turned from the window and smiled at her sister-in-law standing in the doorway. Sophia was 26 years old, 3 years younger than Alexander, and completely different from her brother. Where Alexander was cold and calculating, Sophia was warm and genuine. Her hazel eyes shone with an intensity that made Olivia feel seen, something she hadn't experienced in months. "Just watching the rain," Olivia replied, adjusting the brown hair that fell over her shoulders. "You know I've always loved rainy days." Sophia entered the room, her sandals making a soft sound on the polished hardwood floor. She wore jeans and a simple blouse, a refreshing contrast to the suffocating formality that dominated that house. "Liar," Sophia said with a half-smile. "You're sad again. I can see it in your eyes." Olivia sighed. There was no point in lying to Sophia. In recent months, her sister-in-law had become her only confidant in that enormous mansion empty of affection. "He left again without telling me," Olivia admitted, sitting in the armchair by the window. "I wake up in the morning, and Alexander is already gone. He comes back late at night, locked in his study. When we have to go to some event together, he barely speaks to me in the car. Sophia, I don't know what I'm doing wrong. If you've also felt invisible at some point in your life, leave your comment down below. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel to follow this story to the end." Sophia approached and knelt beside the armchair, taking Olivia's hands in hers. The touch was warm, comforting, so different from Alexander's icy indifference. "Olivia, you're not doing anything wrong," Sophia said firmly. "None of this is your fault, understand? None of it." "Then why does he despise me so much?" The tears Olivia had been holding back for weeks finally began to fall. "Why did he marry me if he feels nothing? I try, Sophia. I really try to be a good wife, but he acts like my presence is a burden." Sophia squeezed Olivia's hands tighter, and for a moment, something passed through her eyes. Deep pain, an internal conflict, but she just shook her head. "You deserve so much more than this," Sophia whispered. "So much more." They remained like that for long minutes, the rain beating against the windows, creating a bubble of intimacy in that enormous room. Olivia couldn't explain it, but beside Sophia, she felt less alone, less lost. The sound of the front door opening broke the moment. Alexander had arrived. Sophia stood up quickly, discreetly wiping away a tear that had escaped from her own eyes. "I'll let you get ready for dinner," she said, avoiding Olivia's gaze. "My mother is planning another one of those tedious events for tomorrow. You'll need your strength." Before leaving, Sophia stopped at the door and looked back. Olivia, you're special. Never forget that. When the door closed, Olivia was alone again, the echo of those words reverberating in her heart. There was something in the way Sophia looked at her, how her hands trembled slightly when touching hers, how her voice failed when saying her name. But Olivia pushed those thoughts away. Sophia was her only friend in that house. She couldn't afford to misinterpret this friendship. Downstairs, Alexander's footsteps echoed through the marble entrance hall. Another dinner in silence, another night of loneliness in a loveless marriage. Olivia stood up and prepared to go downstairs, putting on the mask of the perfect wife she had learned to wear so well. But as she descended the stairs, she couldn't stop thinking about Sophia's words. You deserve so much more than this. Perhaps, for the first time, Olivia was beginning to believe it. The Winchester family charity dinner took place in the ballroom of the Plaza Hotel, with a privileged view of Central Park. Olivia wore a navy blue dress that Catherine had personally chosen, with a pearl necklace that had belonged to Alexander's grandmother. She smiled at the guests, greeted businessmen and their wives, played the role of exemplary wife with the perfection of an experienced actress. Alexander was by her side, his hand resting lightly on her back when necessary for photos, but without any real warmth. He chatted animatedly with his father's partners about the hospital expansion to the West Coast, and Olivia noticed something she had never perceived before. Alexander's smile never reached his eyes when he looked at her, but it shone genuinely when he greeted certain men at the party, particularly one, Marcus Thornton, the family's corporate attorney, handsome and articulate, who made Alexander laugh in a way Olivia never could. "Olivia, dear, you look beautiful tonight," commented Catherine, approaching with a glass of champagne in hand. The Winchester matriarch was 60 years old, with a posture that intimidated even the bravest. "But you look a bit pale. Have you been eating properly?" "Yes, Mrs. Winchester," Olivia responded automatically. "Just a little tired." "Tired," Catherine repeated with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Well, I hope it's for a good reason. After all, we've been waiting for a grandchild for 6 months now." The phrase was like a slap in Olivia's face. She felt her face burn with humiliation as some nearby ladies laughed discreetly, exchanging knowing glances. "Mother, please." Sophia's voice cut through the tension. She appeared beside Olivia, wearing an elegant wine-colored jumpsuit that subtly defied the formal dress code of the party. "Olivia isn't a baby-making machine. Maybe you should ask Alexander about that, don't you think?" The silence that followed was uncomfortable. Catherine narrowed her eyes at her daughter, but Sophia held her gaze firmly. "Sophia, this isn't the place for your impertinence," Catherine said in a low but cutting voice. "And this isn't the place to publicly embarrass your daughter-in-law," Sophia retorted. "But here we are." Olivia touched Sophia's arm gently. "It's okay," she whispered, though it wasn't. "Let's just enjoy the party." Sophia looked at Olivia, and in that moment, there was so much in her eyes: anger, protection, something deeper that Olivia couldn't name. Then Sophia took her hand, intertwining their fingers protectively. "Come with me," Sophia said. "I need fresh air, and so do you." Before Catherine could protest, Sophia guided Olivia through the crowded ballroom, past tables decorated with white orchid arrangements, past waiters carrying trays of canapés, until they reached the outdoor terrace. The cold New York air in October was a welcome relief. "You didn't need to do that," Olivia said, leaning against the railing and looking at the city lights. "Your mother will be furious with you." "Let her be," Sophia replied, standing beside her. "I'm tired of seeing how they treat you, like you're just another family accessory." Olivia laughed without humor. "Sometimes that's exactly how I feel, like a decorative object. Pretty enough to display at parties, but without real value beyond that." "Don't say that." Sophia turned completely toward her, her eyes shining under the soft terrace lights. "You have so much value, Olivia. So much value that I—" She stopped, the words dying on her lips. The wind moved through her dark hair, and Olivia noticed how close Sophia was, how her jasmine perfume enveloped them both. "That you what?" Olivia asked softly. Sophia shook her head, taking a step back. "Nothing. You deserve to be treated with respect. You deserve to be happy." Before Olivia could respond, the terrace door opened abruptly. Alexander appeared, his face tense. "Olivia," "They're calling for the auction," he said coldly, not even looking at his sister. "We need to go back." "We're coming," Olivia responded. "Now," Alexander insisted, and there was something in his voice, impatience, irritation. "It's not appropriate for you to be out here so long." "She's with me, Alexander," Sophia interfered. "Where else would she be safe?" Alexander finally looked at his sister, and the tension between them was palpable. "You always create uncomfortable situations, Sophia," he said. "You always need to challenge everything and everyone. And you always need to keep up appearances at any cost," Sophia retorted, "even if it means destroying innocent people's lives. Are you enjoying the story? Then subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next chapter." Alexander went rigid, his fists clenching. "Be careful what you say, Sophia." "Or what?" she challenged. "Are you going to disown me too? Are you going to pretend I don't exist, like you do with your own wife?" "Enough!" Alexander's voice came out louder than he intended. Some guests on the adjacent terrace looked over curiously. He took a deep breath, regaining his composure. "Olivia, let's go." He extended his hand, waiting for her to take it. Olivia looked at Sophia, who had tears of anger in her eyes, then at her husband. For a moment, she thought about staying, about choosing the only person in that family who truly cared about her. But years of conditioning to be the good girl, the obedient daughter, the exemplary wife, were hard to break. She took Alexander's hand, feeling it cold and impersonal. "I'm sorry," she whispered to Sophia before walking away. Back in the ballroom, Alexander guided her to the main table with a hand too firm on her elbow. He leaned in and whispered in her ear, so low that only she could hear. "Stay away from my sister. She's problematic and will put wrong ideas in your head." "Wrong ideas?" Olivia faced him. "Like the idea that I deserve to be treated with a minimum of respect?" Alexander glared at her, but before he could respond, the auction presenter called everyone's attention. The rest of the night passed in a blur of numbers, polite applause, and empty conversations. But Olivia couldn't stop thinking about Sophia's words, the way she had defended her, the way her eyes shone when she looked at her. And for the first time, Olivia began to question whether that empty marriage was really all that life had to offer. When they finally returned home, it was past midnight. Alexander went straight to his study without saying goodnight. Olivia went up to the bedroom alone, as always, and found a note slipped under her door. It was from Sophia, just 4 handwritten words. "We need to talk, tomorrow." Olivia held the note against her chest, her heart beating fast. Part of her was afraid of what Sophia wanted to say, but another part, a part that grew each day, was desperate to hear any truth in that house built on lies. She kept the note in the bedside table drawer and lay down in the huge empty bed, staring at the ceiling. Something was about to change. She could feel it in the air, like electricity before a storm. And Olivia wasn't sure if she was ready for what would come next. Morning arrived with clear skies over New York, completely different from the storm forming inside Olivia. She had barely slept, tossing in bed while thinking about Sophia's note, the words exchanged on the terrace, Alexander's cold look. Catherine had left early for a country club meeting, and Alexander, as usual, had already departed for the office before Olivia even woke up. The mansion was silent, only the distant sounds of the housekeeper, Mrs. Rodriguez, working in the kitchen. Olivia descended the stairs wearing jeans and a simple blouse, her bare feet on the cold marble. She found Sophia in the living room, sitting on the Italian leather sofa, looking out the window at the garden where the cherry blossom trees were beginning to bloom. "Good morning," Olivia said softly. Sophia turned, and Olivia noticed the dark circles under her eyes. She hadn't slept either. "Good morning," Sophia replied, gesturing for Olivia to sit beside her. "Thank you for coming." Olivia sat down, maintaining a respectful distance, her hands nervous in her lap. "Your note seemed urgent." "It is." Sophia took a deep breath, as if gathering courage. "Olivia, I can't stand to see you suffer anymore. I can't stand this farce, these lies anymore. You deserve to know the truth." Olivia's heart accelerated. What truth? Sophia stood up and began pacing around the room, her fingers nervously running over the furniture as she searched for the right words. My brother, Alexander, he's not who everyone thinks he is. This marriage, this whole life you have together, is a carefully constructed lie. Sophia, you're scaring me. Olivia stood up too. What are you talking about? Sophia stopped and turned to face her, tears shining in her eyes. Alexander is gay, Olivia. The silence that followed was absolute. Olivia felt as if the floor had disappeared beneath her feet. She sat down again, her legs unable to support her anymore. What? The word came out as a whisper. He always has been, Sophia continued, her voice trembling. Since he was a teenager, but my father would never accept it. My mother would never accept it. We're the Winchesters, one of New York's most traditional families. For them, this would be an unforgivable disgrace. Olivia shook her head, trying to process the information. But then why marry me? To keep up appearances, Sophia explained, sitting beside her again. To satisfy our parents, to continue being the perfect heir to the Winchester Empire. You were carefully chosen, Olivia. Beautiful, from a respectable but not very connected family. Grateful for the opportunity, someone who would accept the marriage without questioning too much. Tears began rolling down Olivia's face. Suddenly, everything made sense. The coldness, the distance, the way Alexander avoided any intimacy, how he shone around Marcus Thornton but dimmed beside her. So all this time, I didn't do anything wrong? She asked, her voice breaking. No. Sophia took her hands, squeezing them tightly. You never did anything wrong. This was never about you. It was always about Alexander not having the courage to be who he really is. About my parents not accepting anything less than the perfection they imagine. Olivia sobbed, years of pain and rejection finally finding an explanation. But along with the relief came anger. How could he do this to me? She asked, her voice rising. How could he use me like this, destroy my life, make me feel inadequate, unloved, when he never intended to love me? Because he's a coward, Sophia said bitterly, because he preferred to sacrifice his happiness and yours rather than face our parents. I begged him not to do this, said you didn't deserve to be used this way. But he said he had no choice. Olivia stood up abruptly, walking to the window, her emotions in turmoil. How long have you known this? I've always known, Sophia admitted. About Alexander being gay, since we were teenagers. About the plan to marry someone to hide it, since my father started pressuring him. I tried to convince him to be honest, to live his truth, but you never told me. Olivia turned, and there was accusation in her voice. You knew what was happening and never said anything. Sophia stood up, tears flowing freely now. I know, and I hate myself for it. Every day, seeing you suffer, seeing you blame yourself, destroyed me. But he's my brother, and I was afraid. Afraid that if I told you, you would leave, and then She stopped abruptly, covering her mouth with her hand. You what? Olivia insisted. Sophia shook her head, more tears falling. I can't. Olivia, I shouldn't. Tell me! Olivia practically shouted, all her frustration, pain, and confusion exploding. After everything you just revealed, don't hide anything else from me. Sophia took a deep breath, trembling all over. Because I fell in love with you. The words came out in a desperate whisper. From the first day I saw you, at the engagement dinner, the way you smiled even though you were nervous, how you treated everyone with kindness, how your eyes lit up when you talked about books and art. I fell in love. And every day watching you unhappy in this marriage was torture because I knew the truth and couldn't do anything. Olivia stood frozen, her world turning upside down for the second time that morning. Sophia, I know it's wrong. Sophia continued quickly, the words coming out in a flood. You're married to my brother, even if it's a farce. And I would never act on my feelings, never. But you asked for the truth, and that's the truth. I fell in love with my brother's wife, and I have to live with that every day. The silence that followed was broken only by the sound of a car arriving outside. The two women looked at each other, both with tears on their faces, the weight of all those revelations hanging between them. Alexander's back, Sophia said, hearing the front door open. He forgot something at home. Olivia quickly wiped away her tears, but she knew her eyes were still red. Alexander entered the living room, stopping abruptly when he saw the two of them. His gaze went from Sophia to Olivia, and something changed in his expression. Fear. "What's happening here?" he asked, his voice controlled but tense. "I told her," Sophia said, raising her chin defiantly. "I told her everything." The color drained from Alexander's face. He closed the door behind him and approached, his body rigid. "You had no right," he said, his voice low and dangerous. "And you had the right to destroy her life?" Sophia retorted. "To use her as a shield for your cowardice?" "Be careful what you say, Sophia," Alexander warned. "Or what?" Sophia took a step forward. "Are you going to disown me? Tell Mom and Dad? Are you going to do to me what you did to Olivia?" "Is it true?" Olivia's voice cut through the argument. She looked directly at Alexander, her hands trembling. "Everything she said is true?" Alexander stared at her, and for a moment, she saw beyond the mask. Saw the frightened man, trapped, unhappy, as trapped as she was, in different ways. "Olivia," he began. "Yes or no?" she insisted. He closed his eyes, and, when he opened them again, there was resignation in them. "Yes," he said simply. "It's true." Olivia felt as if she'd been punched, even though she already knew the answer. Hearing it from him, seeing the confirmation in his eyes, made everything terribly real. "How could you?" Her voice was barely a whisper. "How could you do this to me?" "I had no choice," Alexander said, and for the first time, there was genuine emotion in his voice. "You don't understand the pressure, the expectations. I'm the only male heir. If my father knew, I would lose everything. The company, the family, my life. So you destroyed mine," Olivia said, anger finally overcoming pain. "You used me. Made me believe I was the problem, that I wasn't good enough, pretty enough, interesting enough. You let me die a little each day in this empty marriage, all to save your appearances. Olivia, I'm sorry." And he seemed genuinely remorseful. "I truly am. But I don't know how to be someone else. I don't know how to live outside this cage my family built." "That's no excuse," Sophia said. "You had choices, Alexander. You always did. You just chose the easiest path, not caring who got hurt in the process." Alexander looked at his sister, then at Olivia, and something in him seemed to break. "You're right," he admitted. "I am a coward. Always have been. And Olivia, you deserve so much better than I could ever give you." He turned to leave but stopped at the door. "I'm going to stay at the office apartment for a few days, to give you space to think about what you want to do from here. If you want a divorce, I won't fight it." "And your parents?" Olivia asked. "The perfect Winchester family?" Alexander gave a sad smile. "Maybe it's time for some truth to enter this family." And then he left, leaving Olivia and Sophia alone again, the weight of everything that had been revealed filling the room. Olivia sat down slowly, her mind trying to process everything. Her marriage was a farce. Her husband was gay. She had been used, and her sister-in-law was in love with her. It was too much. All too much. Sophia approached hesitantly. "Olivia, I'm sorry. For everything. For not telling you sooner. For falling in love with you. For everything." Olivia looked at her, at this woman who had been her only source of light in those dark months, and she didn't know what to feel. "I need time," she said finally, "to process all of this, to decide what to do." "I understand." Sophia took a step back. "I'll be here. When you need to talk, or whatever you need." Olivia just nodded, too tired for more words. When Sophia left, she was alone in the large living room, surrounded by the luxury that had proven to be a gilded cage. For the first time in 6 months, Olivia had answers. But now, she needed to figure out what to do with them. The next 3 days were the strangest of Olivia's life. Alexander kept his word and stayed at the office apartment, leaving the mansion curiously empty without his cold presence. Catherine noticed the absence, but when asked, Olivia simply said he was busy with work. The matriarch accepted the explanation without questioning much. After all, work had always been a valid excuse in the Winchester family. Sophia maintained a respectful distance, appearing only at meals and always with a questioning look, as if silently asking if Olivia was okay, but they didn't talk about anything important. Not yet. Olivia spent hours walking through the mansion gardens, sitting under the large magnolia tree at the back of the property, trying to organize her thoughts. Her entire life had been built on others' expectations. Her parents wanted her to marry well. Alexander wanted a facade. Catherine wanted a perfect daughter-in-law. And amid all of this, who was Olivia? What did she want? On the afternoon of the third day, as rain returned to fall over New York, Olivia finally made a decision. She picked up her phone and sent a message to Sophia. "Can we talk? In the library at 8? The response came in seconds. "I'll be there." The Winchester Mansion Library was Olivia's favorite place in the house. Walls covered with mahogany shelves filled with antique books, comfortable leather armchairs, and a fireplace that was rarely used but created a cozy atmosphere. It was the only room that seemed to have soul in that house of marble and appearances. Sophia arrived exactly at 8, wearing a gray sweater and jeans, her hair pulled back in a simple ponytail. She looked nervous, her fingers playing with the hem of her sweater. "Hi," she said softly. "Hi," Olivia replied, gesturing to the armchair across from hers. "Please, sit." Sophia sat down, and for a moment, only the sound of rain against the windows filled the silence between them. "I've been thinking a lot," Olivia began, "about everything you told me, about Alexander, about this marriage, about you." Sophia swallowed but said nothing, waiting. "My whole life, I did what others expected of me," Olivia continued, looking at her own hands. "I was the obedient daughter, the perfect girlfriend, the exemplary wife. I never stopped to ask what I wanted, who I was beyond others' expectations." "And now?" Sophia asked gently. "Have you figured it out?" Olivia gave a small smile. "I'm still trying to figure it out. But I know some things. I know I don't want to continue in this marriage. I can't. It would be unfair to me and, strangely, to Alexander too. He deserves the chance to live his truth, even if it took him too long to find the courage." "Are you going to ask for a divorce?" "Yes." Olivia nodded firmly. "I'm going to hire a lawyer tomorrow. I don't want anything from the Winchester family except my freedom." Sophia smiled, a genuine smile of relief. "I'm proud of you. That takes a lot of courage." "I learned from someone." Olivia looked directly at her. "Someone who was always brave enough to question this family's rules." Sophia blushed slightly. "Olivia, about what I said, about my feelings, I don't expect anything from you. I never would. You're going through so much now, and the last thing you need is more pressure or confusion. I just wanted you to know the truth." Olivia stood up, walking to the window, watching the rain transform the garden into a blur of green and gray. "When you told me you were in love with me, I was shocked," she admitted. "But afterward, thinking about it, so many things started to make sense. The way you always defended me, how your eyes lit up when you saw me, how your hands trembled when you touched me." She turned to face Sophia, and I realized something else. In the last 6 months, the only moments I felt truly alive, truly seen, were when I was with you. Are you holding your breath like I am? Leave your comment and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss a single moment of this story. Sophia's heart visibly accelerated. "Olivia." "But," Olivia raised her hand gently, "I need time. I need to first discover who I am outside of this marriage, outside of this life. I need to find myself before I can even think about anything else." Sophia stood up and approached, but maintained a respectful distance. "I understand completely, and I'll be here, as a friend, for as long as you need. No pressure, no expectations. Just here." "Thank you," Olivia whispered. "For everything. For telling me the truth, even though it was difficult. For caring about me when no one else in this house did." Before she could think too much about it, Olivia took a step forward and hugged Sophia. The embrace was tight, full of gratitude and something more. Something Olivia wasn't ready to name yet. Sophia returned the embrace, her arms wrapping around Olivia carefully, as if she were something precious that could break. They stayed like that for long moments, just holding each other, the rain continuing its melancholic song outside. When they finally separated, both had tears in their eyes. "I'm going to need to leave this house," Olivia said. "I can't stay here during the divorce process. It would be too much." "Where will you go?" "My cousin has a vacant apartment in Greenwich Village. She said I can stay there as long as I need. It's small, very different from here, but it's yours," Sophia completed with a smile. "Your space, your rules, your life." "Exactly. When are you leaving?" "By the end of the week. I'm going to tell Alexander and Catherine tomorrow." Sophia grimaced. "My mother is going to freak out, I know." Olivia laughed, but there was nervousness in her voice. "I'm terrified, but also, I'm ready. For the first time, I'm ready to fight for what I want." "And what do you want?" Sophia asked softly. Olivia looked at her, really looked, seeing the woman who had become her anchor in a sea of lies. The woman who challenged her, protected her, saw her like no one else did. "I'm still figuring that out," she admitted. "But I know I want to be free. I want to be honest. And I want to have the chance to choose my own happiness, whatever that means." Sophia nodded, understanding what wasn't being said. "Then that's what you'll have, I promise." The next day, Olivia arranged to meet Alexander at a neutral coffee shop in Midtown. He arrived punctually, looking tired but more relaxed than she'd seen him in months. "Thank you for agreeing to meet me," he said, sitting across from her. "We needed to talk," Olivia replied, stirring the coffee she'd ordered but had no intention of drinking. "I know. And I want to apologize properly for what I did to you. There's no excuse for using someone that way." Olivia studied him. It was strange to see Alexander without the armor of perfection he always wore, without the impeccable suit and calculated smile, just a tired man, trapped in a life he didn't choose. "Why did you really marry me, Alexander?" she asked. "And I want the complete truth this time." He sighed, running his hand through his hair. "Because I was desperate. My father was increasing the pressure." "When are you getting married? When will we have grandchildren? What will the partners think? And Marcus?" He stopped, his face contorting with emotion. "Marcus was about to accept a job offer in Los Angeles. I was going to lose him." "You love him?" Olivia asked gently. Alexander closed his eyes. "For 5 years. But always in secret, always hidden. He wanted me to come out, to reveal our relationship, but I couldn't. And then he decided to leave, start a new life where he could be free. And I panicked. And you married me to prove something to him? To your parents? To yourself? To prove to everyone," he admitted. "And it was the worst decision I ever made, because it didn't save my relationship with Marcus, didn't make my parents love me more, and destroyed your life in the process." Olivia touched his hand across the table. "Alexander, you have to live your truth, not for me, but for yourself." "I know," he said, tears beginning to fall. "And I will. After you left, I talked to Marcus, told him everything, and he said he was willing to give me a second chance, if I had the courage to be honest this time." "And do you?" Alexander wiped away his tears and looked at her with determination. "I do. I'm going to tell my parents about everything, about who I really am. And if they don't accept it, then I'll build a new life, with Marcus, away from all this pressure and these lies." Olivia smiled. "I'm proud of you." "You shouldn't be," he shook his head. "Not after what I did." "Maybe not," Olivia agreed. "But I am anyway. Because I know how hard it is to choose yourself when your entire life has been built on others' expectations." They talked for another hour, discussing the practical details of the divorce. Alexander insisted she keep the apartment that was in his name in Greenwich Village, as a form of compensation. Olivia initially refused, but he insisted. "Please," he said. "Let me do at least this right. You deserve to have your own space to start over." In the end, she accepted. When they said goodbye outside the coffee shop, Alexander hugged her for the first time with genuine affection. "Thank you," he whispered, "for giving me the chance to be honest. For not hating me, even though you have every reason to." "I don't hate you," Olivia said. "I'm hurt, yes. But I also understand, and I hope you find your happiness, Alexander. Truly. You too, he replied. And Olivia? Sophia? She's a good person. The best in our family, actually. If someday you... well, just know that she deserves her chance at happiness too. Olivia didn't respond, but nodded, understanding what he was saying between the lines. Telling Catherine was infinitely worse. The Winchester matriarch summoned Olivia for a formal tea in the sitting room, and when Olivia announced she was divorcing Alexander, the porcelain cup in Catherine's hand nearly fell. You're going to what? Her voice was dangerously low. I'm going to divorce Alexander, Olivia repeated, keeping her voice firm even with her hands trembling. The marriage is over. Marriages don't simply end, Olivia, Catherine said, her voice cutting. Especially not in our family. What will people think? What will the partners say? With all due respect, Mrs. Winchester, I don't care about that anymore. The woman's face turned red. How dare you? After everything this family has done for you, that your husband has done for you, you're just going to walk away as if nothing mattered. This family has done nothing for me except use me, Olivia shot back, her own anger finally overflowing. And Alexander has his own reasons for wanting this divorce. Ask him if you want details. Where are you going to stay? Catherine demanded. With what money will you survive? That's no longer your problem, Olivia stood up. I came to inform you out of courtesy, not to ask permission. I'm already leaving. She turned to leave, but Sophia's voice stopped her. She's staying with me. Sophia was standing in the doorway, and Olivia had no idea how long she'd been there. What? Catherine and Olivia spoke at the same time. Olivia is staying at my apartment. Sophia entered the room with her head held high. Until she gets settled. Sophia, don't be ridiculous, Catherine said. You barely know the girl. I know her better than anyone in this family, Sophia retorted. And she's my friend. I'm not going to leave her helpless just because you're worried about appearances. This family is falling apart, Catherine practically shouted. First Alexander acting strange, now you defying everything, and Olivia wanting a scandalous divorce. Maybe, Sophia said calmly, it's time for this family to stop worrying about appearances and start worrying about people's real happiness. Catherine looked from one to the other, her face a mask of anger and disbelief. You two will regret this, she said finally. Mark my words. I've regretted many things, Mother, Sophia said, but helping a friend will never be one of them. Olivia looked at Sophia, gratitude and something deeper shining in her eyes. Then, together, they left the Winchester mansion, leaving a furious Catherine behind. Outside, under the bright New York sun, Olivia took a deep breath. You didn't need to do that, she said to Sophia. I know, Sophia smiled. But I wanted to. Besides, my apartment in Soho has 2 bedrooms. You can stay in the guest room for as long as you need. No pressure, no expectations. Just friends helping each other. Friends, Olivia repeated, testing the word. It seemed insufficient to describe what existed between them, but for now, it was enough. Friends, Sophia confirmed. For now, and as they walked together toward Sophia's car, Olivia felt for the first time in months, perhaps in years, that she was on the right path, the path to herself. 3 months had passed since Olivia left the Winchester mansion. Sophia's apartment in Soho became her refuge, a space filled with light and plants, so different from the cold marble of the mansion. Olivia transformed the guest room into her personal sanctuary, decorating it with her own books, some plants that Sophia taught her to care for, and even a small writing desk where she'd started writing again, something she hadn't done since college. The divorce process was moving forward without major problems. Alexander kept his word not to make things difficult, and even convinced his parents not to interfere. Although Catherine still refused to speak with Olivia, Alexander's revelation about his sexuality to the family had caused the expected scandal, but also, surprisingly, a kind of liberation. His father, after weeks of tense silence, finally accepted that he'd rather have a happy and honest son than a perfect but miserable heir. Marcus had returned from Los Angeles, and he and Alexander were trying to rebuild their relationship, this time without hiding or lies. Olivia had met them a few times for coffee, and there was a peace in Alexander now that she'd never seen before. As for Olivia and Sophia, they had established a comfortable routine. Sunday breakfasts together, movie nights in the living room, long conversations about everything and nothing. Sophia had respected her request for time and space, but the tension between them was undeniable. The looks that lasted a second too long, the hands that touched accidentally and were slow to separate, the smiles that said more than words ever could. Olivia was rediscovering herself. She started a creative writing course at the new school, made some new friends who knew nothing about the Winchesters or failed marriages. For the first time in her adult life, she was building an identity that was only hers. It was a rainy Friday when everything changed. Olivia was returning from her writing class, excited to share a compliment the professor had made about her latest piece. She entered the apartment, shaking off her wet umbrella, and called for Sophia. "Sophie? You won't believe what—" She stopped upon finding Sophia sitting on the sofa, tears silently streaming down her face as she looked at her phone. "Sophie, what happened?" Olivia ran to her, dropping her things on the floor. Sophia quickly wiped away her tears, trying to smile. "It's nothing. Just family news." "What news?" Olivia sat beside her. Sophia hesitated, then handed over her phone. It was a message from Alexander. "Mom finally accepted Marcus and me, but she said she'll only forgive me if you come to your senses and stop protecting that woman. She blames Olivia for everything, the divorce, me coming out, the family's disgrace." "Sophie, I'm sorry." Olivia felt anger rising in her chest. "She'll never change, will she?" "Apparently not," Sophia sighed. "She called me today, said if I keep harboring you, I'll be disinherited, that I'm staining the family name. Are you as outraged as we are with Catherine? Leave it in the comments and subscribe to the channel to follow the end of this story." "Sophie," Olivia held her hands, "you can't lose your family because of me. I'll look for another place to stay. I don't want to be the cause of more conflict." "No." Sophia squeezed her hands tightly. "You don't understand. I don't care about the inheritance. I don't care about the family name. I only care about—" She stopped, her eyes meeting Olivia's. "About what?" Olivia whispered, though she already knew the answer. "About you," Sophia confessed. "I only care about you. These last 3 months, seeing you flourish, seeing you become who you really are, have been the best of my life, and if my family can't see how incredible you are, then it's not a family I want to be part of." Olivia felt her heart racing. In the last 3 months, she had avoided thinking too deeply about her feelings for Sophia. She needed to find herself first, to heal. But now, looking into those hazel eyes full of love and determination, she could no longer deny the truth. "Sophia, I care about you too," she admitted, her voice trembling. "More than I should, more than is safe, and I'm scared, because I barely got out of a disastrous relationship, and I don't know if I'm ready or if I ever will be, but, Sophia asked softly, moving closer. "But when I'm with you, I feel complete in a way I've never felt before. You make me laugh, you challenge me, you truly see me, and I think I'm falling in love with you. Maybe I already am, and I was just too scared to admit it." Sophia smiled through her tears, her hands trembling in Olivia's. "Are you sure? Because once we start this, there's no going back. My family will freak out. People will talk. It's going to be difficult." "I know," Olivia said, and for the first time she was really sure of something. "But I'm tired of living for others' expectations. I'm tired of being afraid. I want to choose my own happiness. And Sophia, you are my happiness." Sophia moved closer, their foreheads touching. "Can we go slow?" she whispered. "No pressure, no expectations beyond seeing where this takes us." "Slow is perfect," Olivia replied, closing her eyes and savoring the closeness. And then, soft as the rain falling outside, their lips met. The kiss was tender, full of unspoken promises and fragile hopes. When they separated, both were smiling, tears of joy mixed with the ones of pain they had shed before. "So," Sophia said, playing with Olivia's fingers, "are we doing this? You and me against the world?" "You and me," Olivia confirmed. "But first, I need a favor. Anything. Help me find my own apartment." Olivia smiled at the confusion on Sophia's face. "Don't get me wrong. I love being here with you. But if we're going to do this right, I want to have my own space. I want you to choose me not because I'm your tenant, but because you really want to be with me." Sophia laughed, the sound lighting up the room. "You're impossible, you know that? And you love me for it." "Yes," Sophia admitted without hesitation. "I do." 2 months later, Olivia was in her own apartment in the West Village. Not the one Alexander had offered, but one she'd rented herself with money she'd earned selling some jewelry from the marriage. It was small, just 1 bedroom and living room, but it was hers. Every piece of furniture chosen by her, every picture on the wall reflecting her taste, not someone else's. The divorce had finally been finalized. Olivia had returned to using her maiden name. She'd started a part-time job at a small publishing house, reading manuscripts and writing reports. It didn't pay much, but it was work she loved. Sophia visited almost every day, or Olivia went to her apartment. They had dinner together, walked through the West Village holding hands, kissed without fear under the trees in Washington Square Park. Catherine had followed through on her threat and disinherited Sophia, but Alexander, in a final act of rebellion, transferred part of his own inheritance to his sister. "You were always braver than me," he'd said. "You deserve this, and so much more." It was a Sunday afternoon when Olivia invited Sophia for something special. "Where are we going?" Sophia asked as they walked through the West Village. "It's a surprise." Olivia smiled mysteriously. They stopped in front of a small cafe hidden on a side street, with outdoor tables and flower pots in the windows. "Do you recognize this place?" Olivia asked. Sophia looked around, confused. Then her eyes widened. "It's where we were in that photo." "What photo?" "From Alexander's Instagram, over a year ago. You had come to visit, and we took a photo here. I looked at that photo 1,000 times afterward, trying to understand why I couldn't stop thinking about you." Olivia smiled, her eyes shining. "I found that photo a few weeks ago, and I realized that even before we really knew each other, there was already something there, a connection waiting to be discovered." "Why did you bring me here?" Sophia asked softly. Olivia took a deep breath, taking Sophia's hands in hers. "Because I want to create new memories. Good memories. In this place where it all began without us knowing. And because I love you, Sophia, completely. Without fear, without hesitation. I love you." Tears rolled down Sophia's face. "I love you too. So much." They kissed there, on the sidewalk of the small cafe, as the Sunday afternoon flowed around them. People passed by. Some looked, but Olivia didn't care anymore. For the first time in her life, she was exactly where she wanted to be, with whom she wanted to be. Later, sitting at one of the outdoor tables, drinking coffee and eating pastries, Sophia asked, "Do you regret anything? The marriage? Everything you went through?" Olivia thought for a moment. "No," she said finally, "because everything brought me here, to you. And if I could go back and change things, we might never have met." "Sometimes I think," Sophia confessed, "about what it would be like if Alexander hadn't married you, if I'd never met you. And I can't imagine my life without you now." Olivia smiled, intertwining their fingers. "Then we're two of a kind." 6 months later, on a warm summer afternoon, Olivia and Sophia organized a small brunch at a restaurant in Chelsea. They invited Alexander and Marcus, Olivia's cousin who had offered the apartment, and some close friends they'd made during that year of transformation. Alexander arrived holding hands with Marcus, both smiling openly. He hugged Olivia with genuine affection. "You look radiant," he commented. "Freedom suits you." "You too," Olivia replied, and it was true. Alexander looked years younger, the weight of lies finally removed from his shoulders. During brunch, there was laughter, shared stories, plans for the future. No one mentioned the Winchester family or the scandal that had been. That was the past, and everyone there was focused on building more authentic futures. In a quiet moment, while the others were talking, Sophia leaned toward Olivia and whispered, "Happy?" "More than I ever imagined I could be," Olivia replied, softly kissing her lips. "And you?" "Completely," Sophia smiled. "You know, I used to think happiness was something you found or didn't find. that you were lucky or you weren't. And now I know that happiness is a choice. A courageous choice to be honest with yourself, to fight for what you deserve, to love without fear. Olivia blinked away tears. When did you become so wise? I learned from an incredible woman I met. Sophia winked. She taught me it's never too late to start over. As brunch continued around them, Olivia thought about everything she'd been through. The loneliness of a loveless marriage, the shock of the revealed truth, the pain of undoing an entire life of lies. But she also thought about the courage she'd found within herself, the love she'd discovered when she least expected it, the freedom to finally live authentically. Life hadn't become perfect. There were still difficult days, moments of uncertainty, challenges to overcome. But now, she faced everything with someone by her side who truly loved her, someone who saw her, valued her, chose her every day. And that, Olivia realized, was more than enough. It was everything. Thank you for following this story to the end. If you were as moved as we were, leave your comment down below telling us what you thought. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more stories that will touch your heart. See you next time.